Is the perfect cruiser motorcycle actually out there? On this channel, I've been lucky enough to ride and review dozens of cruiser motorcycles, and in today's video I've narrowed it down to my favourite 10. I've pulled my 10 favourite cruisers from the archives for a scored showdown. From lightweights to heavyweights, they're going head to head. This is for my own sanity really. I've ridden my Royal Enfield Super Meteor 650 for over 2.5 years now, but I need to know, is there a better motorcycle out there for me? Which one will win? 10 bikes, one winner. Let's get into it. I've broken it down into 7 categories with 10 points available for each, giving us a maximum total of 70 points. Number 1, curb appeal. Does it stop you in your tracks when you walk into the garage? Number 2, character and soul. The X factor. Does the bike have a personality, or is it just a machine? Number 3, ergos and comfort. Can I ride this long distance without needing a chiropractor? Number 4, tech and features. Is the tech useful or just there for the sake of it? Number 5, handling and agility. How does it actually manage its weight in the twisties? Number 6, value. What are you getting for your hard-earned money? And last of all, number 7, fuel economy, because I'm going to live with it and I need to know the costs at the pumps. To keep things fair in this showdown, I'm only looking at showroom standard bikes, no mods, just how they roll off the dealer floor. By the end of this video, we will have a clear winner based on data, not just my gut instincts. And to be honest with you, not even I know the results until the end of this video, crazily enough. So let's see which cruiser bike will take the crown. We're going to start our countdown with the undisputed icon of the heavyweight world, the Harley-Davidson Fat Boy. With that Milwaukee 8 engine and those steamroller tyres, it has more presence than almost anything else on this list. It's the bike that defined the Fat custom look. It's built for the open road, but that 317 kilogram weight and those wide tyres mean you have to muscle it through the corners. It's an arm workout on 2 wheels. It scores big on soul and style, but how does it stack up on the practical side? Let's look at the points. When it comes to curb appeal, the Fat Boy is untouchable. It scores a perfect 10 out of 10, sitting right at the top of the list in this category. This is pure, unapologetic American muscle. That presence carries over into character and soul, earning a 9, and the ergos and comfort match that. It's a plush place to be, as long as the road is straight. But here's where the honeymoon ends. Tech and features are limited, scoring a 6, and once you hit the twisties, the weight catches up with you. The handling and agility are frankly poor. It feels like a battleship in rough seas, scraping in with a 5. And at just over £23,000, the value for money hits that same low note. With a massive 171 Newton meters of torque on tap, you're always going to pay the price at the pumps. The Fat Boy delivers just 51.3 miles per gallon UK, or 18.1 kilometers per litre. In a world of rising fuel costs, especially if you're planning long distance tours, that adds up quickly. For that reason, the Fat Boy scores a low 4 out of 10 for fuel economy. It's an icon, but a compromise one, leaving the Fat Boy with a total of 48 out of 70. Up next is another American heavyweight. This is the Harley-Davidson Street Glide 117. This bike is the absolute icon of the bagger world, built for the long haul. Harley's current catchphrase for this machine is "get there quicker, safer." But how does it actually score? For curb appeal, I'm giving it 7 out of 10. It's an icon with that batwing fairing, but for me, it lacks that raw, shouty muscle of the Fat Boy. It's a handsome bike, but it's a bit more business casual.
Wow, that's a car engine, absolutely a car engine.
For character and soul, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. That Milwaukee 8 117 VVT engine is a masterpiece. It doesn't just run, it breathes. You feel every pulse, and it's got that signature Harley soul in spades. Ergos and comfort, 8 out of 10. It's built to eat the miles. That upright stance and that fairing protection are top tier, though you're always managing that heavyweight bulk. Tech and features, 10 out of 10, a perfect score. Between the 12.3 inch TFT and the Skyline OS, that cornering, safety tech, this is officially the smartest bike on the list. Handling and agility, 6 out of 10. It's been on a bit of a diet lately, shedding 24 pounds for the 2026 model, but let's be real, it's still a 370 kilogram battleship. It's composed but not flickable. As for value, at nearly £28,000, you're paying for the badge, the heritage and that tech. It's a premium investment, and that Harley tax is real. Fuel economy, 4 out of 10. You're looking at around 53 UK miles per gallon. It's not terrible for a 1.9 litre engine, but it's definitely thirsty. So there you have it, the Street Glide just pips the Fat Boy due to that high-tech score. But let's move away from the American muscle for a minute, even though I've got one more Harley featuring later in the list. Let's try a Japanese cruiser. This is the Honda Rebel 1100. Now this is a completely different philosophy. It's light, it's agile, and it uses a parallel twin engine derived from the Africa Twin. It's a precision tool, but how does it handle in the list?
Big torque, low seat height, no nonsense. Just the way I like my mornings.
For curb appeal, I'm awarding 7 out of 10. It has that modern neo-bobber look, clean and functional, but it lacks that chrome presence of traditional cruisers. I know not all of you will agree here. For character and soul, I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. Although it's not a V-twin, the 270-degree crank gives it a punchy, rhythmic pulse that feels surprisingly alive for a parallel twin. Ergos and comfort, that accessible low seat and the narrow midsection makes it very easy to manage. For tech and features, it has a class-leading TFT display. DCT and cruise control are standout features at this price point. Handling and agility gets 7 out of 10. At 249 kilograms for the DCT model, the weight of this cruiser is held down low and it's easily flickable. With an average price of £11,000, depending on which model you go for, manual or DCT, it's incredible bang for your buck. Again, fuel economy depends on model, DCT or manual control, with the manual coming out on top with 57 miles per gallon. The Honda Rebel CMX 1100 comes in at a respectable 53 points out of 70. Now it's time for a bike that really needs no introduction on this channel. It's the Royal Enfield Super Meteor 650. If there is one motorcycle on this list that I have the most experience with, the most bum on seat time, it's this one. I've lived with it, I've toured with it, and I've put it through its paces in ways most people wouldn't. But after all those miles, does the reality live up to the retro cool image? Let's see how it actually stacks up when we put it through the scoring categories. For curb appeal, Royal Enfield have absolutely nailed the proportions. It looks premium and punches way above its price tag. For character and soul, the 650 Twin is a gem, smooth, honest and full of that classic Royal Enfield charm with that 270-degree crank. For ergonomics and comfort, this bike only scores 5 out of 10. With the factory hard seat and rear suspension, this bike sadly comes bottom of the list for comfort. A bit of a sore point amongst Super Meteor owners, quite literally. Again, tech and features score quite low with 4 out of 10. It's very basic and it's a hit or miss trip and navigation. For handling and agility, it's quite stable and planted in the corners. It's surprisingly composed in the bends despite its 241 kilograms. Value for money is where this bike wins big. It's a 9, starting at just £6,949 in the UK. The price to presence ratio is unbeatable. You're getting a proper big bike feel for middleweight money. Finally, fuel economy is an 8. That 650 engine is incredibly frugal. It's easy on the wallet, which is exactly what you want when you're heading out on a long moto adventure. The Retro King with a stiff backbone scores 49 out of 70. Next up, a bike very close in engine size and price to the Super Meteor 650, the Kawasaki Vulcan S650. Now, while the engine displacement is similar, this is a completely different animal. It's a cruiser built around a sport bike heart, and that makes for a very interesting comparison in this top 10 list.
So as comparables go, this was a very close comparable to the Royal Enfield Super Meteor 650, as in price point, as in performance, as in engine size.
And one of the standout features is the low seat height of 705 millimeters.
Look at that, my knees are bent. My knees are absolutely bent, and I've got plenty of leg room. I can stand up. Where, as you know, on my Royal Enfield 650, I'm pretty much on tiptoe most of the time. So that is an advantage on this bike.
Curb appeal gets a 7 out of 10. It's modern, but it has that alien styling compared to classic cruisers. Character and soul scores a low 5 out of 10. It has a Ninja 650 engine. It loves to rev, but it lacks that traditional cruiser thump. Ergonomics and comfort scores a very high 10 out of 10, the gold standard. Kawasaki's Ergo Fit allows for a perfect custom setup for any rider. Tech and features scores 5 out of 10. It's simple and functional, does the job without any unnecessary bells and whistles. Handling and agility scores a 10 out of 10 also. The king of bends, light, flickable and handles more like a sports bike. And the steering circle is one of the best I've found on any motorcycle. 7 out of 10 for value for money. Priced at just £7,449, it offers great performance, though it does use more plastic than an Enfield. Fuel economy scores 7 out of 10. At 62 UK miles per gallon, it has a good range from that 14-litre tank. With a total score of 51 out of 70, beating my Super Meteor 650 by 2 points, this is the ultimate cruiser for people who actually like sports bikes.
So we are now officially halfway through T's top 10 cruisers. If you're still with me, please drop a like. It really helps the channel grow. And look, if you disagree with me for any reason, please let me know in the comments, because these are my personal thoughts from time in the saddle. Maybe your experiences are different, so please let me know in the comments.
Next up, another sporty high revving cruiser. This time the Harley-Davidson Nightster, and I'll be honest about it, I completely overlooked this one in the past. I didn't rate it well and I didn't give it the time of day, but lately I've realised I need to take a second look at the Harley-Davidson Nightster, because on paper it's ticking every single one of my boxes. For curb appeal, 8 out of 10. That 975cc engine cap is a focal point and it announces exactly what it is. Character and soul, it's a different vibe than the old Sportsters, and that Revolution Max engine is very high revving. Ergos and comfort, 8 out of 10. That 705mm seat height and the fuel tank and the weight under the seat is the secret sauce. Again, 8 out of 10 for tech and features, self-cancelling indicators, cruise control and rider modes, as well as that silky smooth belt drive. 9 out of 10 for handling and agility, 91 horsepower meets 221 kilograms, a genuine lightweight ripper. With starting prices at £9,995, it's premium but fair entry for this much tech. Value for money, 7 out of 10. Sadly, only 4 out of 10 for fuel economy. With 52 miles per gallon and only an 11.7 litre tank, you'll be looking at a petrol station every 110 miles. The Harley-Davidson Nightster scores 50 out of 70. And now for the Indian Super Scout 1250. I'll be honest with you, this is a bike that instantly shook my senses and practically screamed, "Buy me."
Wow,
There is something about the way the Indian has blended that heritage look with the raw punch of the new Speed Plus engine. You look at those wheels and the classic lines and you expect a lazy cruiser, but when you twist the throttle and the 105 horses remind you very quickly that this is a 2026 powerhouse. Lovely number plate for a Scout. And this is my ride today, Super Scout. For curb appeal, 9 out of 10. The Super Scout leans heavily into the Indian's heritage with wire wheels and flowing fenders. It has that classic bike look that usually turns heads at coffee shops. 10 out of 10 for character and soul. That new Speed Plus 1250 is the star here. It's punchy, liquid cooled and has a much more aggressive, rev happy personality than traditional air cooled V-twins.
So I feel absolutely part of the bike. I feel like I'm integrated into the bike. I don't feel like I'm sat on top of the bike. I actually feel part of it.
You get a 4-inch round TFT touchscreen with ride command, navigation via Bluetooth and selective rider modes, which is a massive step up from the basic dials of the Vulcan S. It's a lot lighter than the Fat Boy, making it easier to tip into corners, though that 16-inch front wheel keeps it feeling stable rather than flickable. With a price of just over £16,000, this price is for the standard configuration, which includes the Limited plus Tech trim. The Super Scout 1250 gets a 3 out of 10 for fuel economy. To be honest, it was something I was really unaware of at the time, but when you look at the math, it's a problem. You've got a high compression 1250cc performance engine fed by a tiny 13-litre tank. If you're heavy on the throttle, which this bike practically begs you to be, you're going to be looking for a petrol station every 100 to 120 miles. For a bike that comes with a windshield and bags, things designed for the long haul, that range is a massive contradiction. Personally, I'd like to do a lot more miles. I want to get lost on those tight back roads or head up into the mountains without constantly eyeing the fuel light. This is a brilliant machine, but that thirst and that frequent stop, that's one thing that would really put me off buying it. That being said, the overall package is so strong that even with the low fuel score, the Indian Super Scout comes in at our highest position so far at 55 out of 70. And now it's time for some classic British engineering to enter the scene. Today I finally get my hands on the bike a lot of you have been asking about, the Triumph Bonneville Bobber 1200. 1200cc of pure hot rod soul, world-class style, and finally a fuel tank that matches its ambition. When the Bobber first launched in 2017, it came with this so-called peanut fuel tank of only 9.1 litres, offering a very low range. That changed in 2021 to a more reasonable 12-litre tank, but now for 2026 the tank has been increased again to a 14-litre tank, offering a real-world range of 300 kilometres. For curb appeal, a perfect score, 10 out of 10. That floating seat and hardtail look are world-class. Character and soul score high too with a 9 out of 10. It feels alive with that hot rod growl. So this bike has got plenty of power. 78 horsepower and 106 Newton meters of torque at 4,000 RPM peak. That's very low end torque. And to be honest, I didn't even get anywhere near it today when riding the bike. Such a lovely tone to that exhaust. It's really nice. Ergos and comfort score low, 4 out of 10. It suffers the same problem as the Super Meteor 650, a stiff rear suspension and a limited rear travel. Tech and features scores 7 out of 10. It has rain and road modes, cruise control, traction control and MIU based cornering ABS. For handling and agility, 7 out of 10. It's quite agile for a 250 kilogram bike and those fat tyres offer great grip. 6 out of 10 for value for money at £13,795. This is a luxury item. You're paying for the name and the finish. 7 out of 10 for fuel economy, 61 UK miles per gallon, 22 kilometers per litre, and that 14 litre tank now adds a decent range. The Triumph Bonneville 1200 Bobber scores 50 out of 70. Still a British owned company with a design team in Hinckley, but 90% of the bikes are assembled right here in Thailand. 2 more bikes to go on T's top 10 cruiser list, including one wildcard at the end. Up next, the Honda Rebel 500, a bike that I have owned and actually loved during my ownership. On paper it's a simple formula, a 471cc parallel twin tucked into a low slung, blacked out bobber frame. But on the road it's pure get on and go therapy. It's light, narrow, and with that low seat height it makes you feel like a master of the machine from the second you kick the stand up. It's effortless, cool, and it just works every single time. 7 out of 10 for curb appeal. It's clean with modern bobber lines and it looks great in that blacked out finish. 6 out of 10 for character and soul. Unlike its big brother, it's a 180-degree crank, so it loses a bit of that traditional thump. 8 out of 10 for ergos and comfort. It has a low seat height and the mid controls make it incredibly easy to handle, even though the seat can be a bit firm on longer rides. 4 out of 10 for tech and features. The digital dash is basic but functional, but we do have a new slipper clutch and LED lighting on the newer models. 7 out of 10 for handling and agility. It's extremely nimble, especially through city traffic, and it feels much lighter than it actually is. For 2026, the Honda Rebel CMX 500 remains one of the best value cruisers on the market. For just under £6,000, it's reliable and cheap to run and holds its value. Fuel economy gets a 9 out of 10. You can ride it all day on a sniff of fuel, 80 miles per gallon or 27.9 kilometers per litre. The Honda Rebel scores 50 out of 70. It's the perfect entry point into cruising, and as I found, it's a bike that even experienced riders can live with and love for years. And now for our wild card. It's officially the most affordable and lowest powered machine on the list, but don't let the spec sheet fool you. Enter the Royal Enfield Meteor 350. In a world of bigger is better, the Meteor is a breath of fresh air. It's not trying to win a drag race, it's trying to win your heart with pure, unadulterated thump. The bike is the definition of chilled out. It's built for the scenic route, offering a smooth, counterbalanced ride that feels way more premium than its price tag suggests. It's living proof that you don't need 100 horsepower to have 100% good time. 7 out of 10 for curb appeal. It has timeless retro styling. It looks like a much larger, more expensive cruiser at a glance. 5 out of 10 for character and soul. That J-series engine has a lovely thump, but it's more polite than the V-twin. 8 out of 10 for ergos and comfort. It's a super relaxed riding position and that low seat height makes it accessible for everyone. 4 out of 10 for tech and features. It's simple and honest, but like the Super Meteor 650, that trip and navigation is a bit hit and miss. Handling and agility, 8 out of 10. It's surprisingly nimble, it carries its weight down low, making it a dream to corner and for filtering through city traffic. With a base price of just over £4,000, you're getting a brand new A2 compliant cruiser with a 3-year warranty for the price of a well-used second-hand bike from most other brands. The only bike on the list to get 10 out of 10 for value. Again, the only bike on the list to get 10 out of 10 for fuel economy. It has incredible efficiency. It's one of those bikes you fill up and then forget where the petrol station is. With over 100 miles per gallon UK or 35.8 kilometers per litre, the fuel economy is just amazing. The Royal Enfield Meteor 350 scores 52 out of 70. So, there we have it. The results are in, and they are nothing short of shocking. The iconic poster bike, the Harley-Davidson Fat Boy, the one that scored the maximum 10 out of 10 for curb appeal, actually comes bottom of the list at 48 points. My Super Meteor 650 didn't fare much better, coming second to last at 49 points. So that kind of confirms my suspicions that there is probably a better cruiser motorcycle out there for me.
We had a four-way tie at 50 points. We had the Harley-Davidson Street Glide at 50, the Harley-Davidson Nightster at 50, the Honda Rebel 500 at 50, the Triumph Bonneville 1200 at 50 points. Coming in at fourth place was the Kawasaki S650 Vulcan. In third place was our wild card, the Royal Enfield Meteor 350, coming in with 52 points. Second place was the Honda Rebel CMX 1100, coming in very strong at 53 points. And then finally, our crowned winner, the Indian Scout 1250, at a massive 55 points. Ironically, the crowned winner actually came lowest on fuel economy, and I suppose it's a bit like owning a BMW car. If you want the engineering, if you want the performance, if you want the build quality, then you have to pay the tax at the pump. And being a tight Cornishman, I don't know if I can actually do that. So the 1100 Rebel is looking much more appealing to me now, even though it's second down the list. It's got a much better fuel economy. And to be honest, I researched that bike when I was in England last month, and I stumbled across the 1100T, the touring model, and I really like that. And to be honest, it fits the channel quite well, don't you think? Ride with T. In the meantime, I'll be sticking with my Royal Enfield Super Meteor 650. I have carried out a lot of modifications, so I think a future video will be me regrading, rescoring the Meteor 650 with my modifications and see how much higher we can push it up the list. If you want to see that video, I'll put a link here very soon. So now that I'm back home in Thailand, I'll be diving back into my Royal Enfield Interceptor 650 conversion. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, and until next time, ride safe.